Attempting to get this and hope it's not going to be blocked by a coal train as it comes in.
Oh, well, first of all, you wonder why I'm talking about my own movies or whatever.
Anyway,
well, not really. What I'm talking about here, and I didn't want to put my own ugly mug here just as I'm talking head.
Government by converting a perfectly good roomette car into a 4 roomettes for their staff and 8 fixed little lounge chairs for people who are silly enough to buy, bother coming in there.
And the simple fact is, as I just said on my little movie, whether accidental, incidental, or absolutely deliberate, I don't know. I have to think it's deliberate. To convert perfectly good roomette cars into staff accommodation and almost useless lounge chairs and give people a free cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a sandwich, throw them a sandwich and regard that as a reasonable compensation for not having a sleeping car is beyond my understanding, other than an attempt to get rid of the train. But I'd also say one must ask, what is the future of Queensland Rail trains and services out to Mount Isa and Charleville and Cairns and so on? So I'd just like to go to that, let's say, in a moment and discuss it.
And a couple of free cups of tea or coffee, and they get a sandwich and everything else, and that's supposed to substitute for a sleeping car. Well, my belief is they should convert half of one sitting car into a rail bed car with 9 seats that turn into lay flat beds, of course, at night time, and that would solve the problem for both the inlander and the westlander. So I'm just waiting on the train, and it's a nice day today, and here we go. Here comes westlander. Potentially a very good little train, but right now I would never travel overnight on these trains with sitting up.
Well, once again, let's discuss one of these trains. This is not my own video, but a little brief video showing the inlander. And it's a train that I did ride between Townsville and Charters Towers because it's day ride. Would never sit up on it overnight. Otherwise, you'd say, well, what's wrong? What's wrong with that? Well, once again, and it's just showing my computer, by the way. We're just talking in my computer room. What's wrong with that? Once again, they put on a crew accommodation for 4. Their crew would laugh literally and say goodnight to their passengers, a handful of passengers, and go and lay down for the night in a sleeper, while their passengers would struggle either sitting up or maybe get it rolling out a sleeping bag and going laying on the floor for the journey to Mount Isa. Well, I just simply won't do it. But whilst Queensland Rail might laugh at all that and they don't care about it, quite obviously, and I do not advocate a bus service, but I have a feeling that this government in Queensland, and now I'm anti-Labor, I admit that straight up, but this Palaszczuk Labor government, and by the way the alternative LNP government, is just as bad as each other. They would get rid of that inlander and westlander within months of an election, in my opinion. It won't go 12 to 18 months without being got rid of. But I think the bonus, if there's any such thing as a bonus out of this, and that is to the fact that I reckon, anyway, travel will be free virtually for pensioners, in other words, Brisbane to Mount Isa via Longreach or via Townsville to Mount Isa. and they'll be able to say with some justification, well, we've got a dozen or so services a week, and the bus between Townsville and Mount Isa only takes 12 hours compared to 21 hours on the train. Well, that's well and good, and it's true. But I would not even be paying the fare on the current service. I'd be waiting for the Queensland Rail services to begin, whenever that might be, and then I would travel free on that. But also I would do things like travelling up to Cairns via taking the train to Longreach and a bus to Mount Isa, another bus to Townsville, then a train up to Cairns. Things like that. It's just little ideas that anyone would like to contact me with some ideas, and I've done quite a number of trips, and I'll do a whole lot more, I guess, into the future, all being well. In other words, God willing, and provided that everything runs as per normal. All right, well, just a few thoughts anyway, as I said, on trains and in Queensland, and I see nothing but, unfortunately, a rather dark future. I see only just 2 lines, Brisbane, Cairns, and of course up to Mount Isa from Townsville, and maybe later on replacement by bus. All right, well, thanks for viewing.